Thank you for joining us for a very special edition of InfoWars Nightly News. It is Monday, October 3rd, 2011. We have Dr. Jerome Corsi joining us at the end of tonight's transmission, dealing with the globalist plan to break up the United States via civil war. This topic could not be more important and, quite frankly, earth-shattering. We also have historian and economist Webster Griffin Tarpley joining us to break down exactly who's behind the Occupy Wall Street group. Turns out it's Barack Obama and a bunch of different George Soros groups so they can control opposition to their criminal activities. That's coming up. And first, after I cover a few news items, we're going to air something that happened yesterday while I was driving home testing out our new RV that we're using to travel around the country. And we went through a border checkpoint. We never went into Mexico, 99 plus miles away from the border. And they have these all over the United States, in some cases 100 miles in Vermont and Washington State, and they just search people's cars. Well, I saw the police dogs going in every car, and people all freaked out, and my kids were scared, and I just went ahead and got in their face. That's coming up. First, let's get into some of the news items we've got here tonight. I have announced and launched a planned protest to occupy the Fed. Instead of just saying capitalism is evil and all companies that have stocks and bonds on the stock market are evil, which is obviously ridiculous, we're going after the big 6 mega banks that created the 1.5 quadrillion, that control our government, that have gotten the 27 plus trillion in banker bailouts. We are going to start this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday occupying Federal Reserve banks across the country. There are only 12, and the head of Region 11 is Dallas. I'll be there Friday, 6 o'clock. I'm going to end the radio show and drive up from Austin. I'm going to demonstrate and point out the criminal activity and hope that people actually occupy it for a few weeks to draw media attention. Then I'm going to turn south and drive to Houston to their branch and then over to San Antonio. So I'll be 6 p.m. Friday, Federal Reserve Dallas, high noon at the Federal Reserve branch of the Dallas Reserve, which is even a bigger complex, down in Houston, Texas at high noon on Saturday. And then, of course, Sunday, we're going to be 10 a.m. to noon there in San Antonio at the Federal Reserve Branch Bank. And then as I turn north to drive back to Austin, I'm thinking about going to a Bank of America branch, but they're going to be closed then. So I think on Monday, we're going to go out to a local Bank of America branch who've been caught robo-signing and taking houses that they never even had a deed to and don't own. Houses bought in cash, paid for decades ago, they've been caught stealing them. And so we're going to be also going in and getting in the face of Bank of America here in Austin, Texas. And while we do this, this is leaderless resistance. You need to go out and demonstrate in other areas of the country as well. So Occupy Wall Street protesters are calling for totalitarian government, re-election of Obama. That article was the #1 story on the web Sunday and today because the Drudge Report made it the big giant banner link up there that this guy will save us. The individual totally bankrupt psychologically, morally. You're talking about a complete and total puppet of the globalist. And his answer is further bankrupt America and pay tens of trillions of dollars into the offshore big 6 mega banks. But the good news is Drudge Report and others linked to our story so that that giant fraud has been exposed. Continuing, Paul Watson had another article out today. Occupy Wall Street tax proposal is backed by Wall Street itself and goes through George Soros and the entire setup there. The good news is there was a meeting between Ron Paul, Ralph Nader, and Dennis Kucinich, and they agreed that they need to move towards ending the Fed and going towards the heart of the matter, not just demonizing free market and capitalism that we know is a whole hell of a lot better than what communism has basically delivered to the world. In summation, and we're going to cover it more tonight, but in summation here in the news section, the big mega elite have made their money through government financed and authorized monopolies and through government welfare and corporate welfare and contracts. And they are pushing right now a movement towards fully turning America into a collectivist state where the big global mega banks sit offshore and are exempt from all the taxes that they levy on us through austerity. So if you are against this tyranny, I want to challenge all of you, no matter where you live in the United States. In fact, we could put that map back up that shows the 12 Federal Reserve banks. No matter where you live in this country, you're just a few hours, in some cases just a few minutes, away from the real criminals. And it's important that we go there with a demand that the power of the purse be given back to Congress, that the Federal Reserve Act of 1913 be overturned, and that Wall Street and the inner coterie that created all these derivatives be brought to justice and these debts be written off to Wall Street and the American people not be forced to pay. So if you want to get that article out to everybody, it's Occupy the Federal Reserve movement launched, going at the real establishment, not some rebellion against the tyrants led by the bankrupt puppet who's clearly blackmailed Barack Hussein, Obama, or Rick Perry or other such minions. Now I want to get to a report that's near and dear to my heart. I remember in the last decade seeing the different videos put on YouTube and reading the news articles about American citizens 100 miles deep in the U.S. under federal regulations being pulled out of their cars, drug dogs being brought on board, being questioned. And it's all about raiding not people that are here illegally, that's just their political cover, but going after small-time drug smugglers. And these are simply people that have not laundered their money through Warren Buffett and Wells Fargo and Wachovia that were just caught last year laundering $376 billion in narcotics and paid a $111 million fine on that giant fraud. And so I had forgotten that when I said, hey, let's test the new RV out, it's actually an 11-year-old used bus, by driving it down to the coast with my family with Richard Reeves, I had forgotten that coming back up, they had now set up a checkpoint in the last decade. And this was 99 plus miles into the United States. And we have a map coming up also in this report that shows how these are dotted all over Texas and the rest of the Southwest and also the northern border. And citizens everywhere are just becoming outraged by these internal Soviet-style checkpoints or Nazi-style checkpoints. We'll go ahead and start going to that footage over me where I show the beautiful beach, South Padre. You know, it's the Texas or Mexican Riviera. I mean, it's almost Caribbean in quality. It's right where the Gulf basically starts to meet the Caribbean. That was sunrise that I shot from our hotel room. And then trying to travel back, Richard said, you know, there's a checkpoint up here. And, you know, I made the point of getting the bus so that we could get away from the TSA groping my family. Even before the European Union, countries in Europe didn't have 100-mile in deep or even 5-mile in deep checkpoints. There's a border and then that's it.
And that's where the work should be done. The work should all be done at the border. Simple as that. What I've seen of these checkpoints, they operate 24/7. They never close. What does fluctuate is the intensity of the work that they're doing. And one time I did have a former girlfriend of mine from Thailand, originally from Thailand, but she'd been a U.S. citizen, or actually a green card holder for many, many years. As a matter of fact, long enough that she actually had a son at the Air Force at the time, but yet they pulled us over and they were giving her a hard time and they really were scaring her. As a matter of fact,
in my experience, they've just asked us if we have drugs. And I'm just like, come on. You know, it's ridiculous. The point is, they claim these are to check citizenship. Why aren't they at the border? A, B, why are they asking about drugs?
Well, that's
every time I've been through these, they just come up the window, ask questions, and then ask if you have drugs. Have you ever heard of them arresting illegals at these checkpoints?
I haven't heard of anybody being arrested as far as illegals, but I have heard of them, you know, doing drug busts on their competitors, I guess, who they bust with drugs to stop the competition.
Yeah, Yeah, it's like that bumper sticker, don't steal, the government doesn't like competition. Well, it's coming up. Sometimes it's activated, other times it isn't. We'll see if you sit there in a long queue and a wave through or what happens. Stay with us. We are approaching the domestic checkpoint. They call it an inspection station. Look, with all the lights and cameras. They got license plate reading cameras all right there. They run you through a database. And again, this is to catch people that aren't part of the drug cartel trying to ship in drugs. And they've got all their cops and all the rest of it up here. Okay, so we've been selected for the Soviet/Nazi checkpoint. What are 18-wheelers supposed to go through here?
This is lanes 1 and 2 commercial vehicles and passenger vehicles in these lanes. So I figure we'll get in a shorter queue here.
No, that makes sense. We got to have been driving for an hour and a half. I mean, this has got to be 70 miles in, and we weren't even at the border. We were like 10 miles from the border. We went down to South Padre.
We came for at least an hour minimum. We got the dog. They're opening driver's doors.
Look right there, you got the little federal agents, federal power grab. Feds won't patrol the border, but they'll patrol the little slaves.
Oh, wait, open your door?
No, they know that, honey. They know buses have a door over there. Then let me just get this recorded, okay?
In the back of your sister.
They're gonna... Look at this. They open people's doors. And, yeah. This will be good. Good to illustrate this for America. Yeah, get shots of the dog doing the thing, honey. That's good. Here we have the checkpoint. 70 miles off the border. Complete joke. And we've documented in a lot of research across the country, California, Arizona, Vermont, Washington State. They'll go 100 miles deep with these. And it is just a bonanza of federal harassment. And now they're setting up more everywhere. Looks like they just directed that car to pull over for a deeper search right here. Oh, he's telling me not to tape him. Hold on.
You ask your passenger, please, to not record anybody here, please.
But you're taping us.
That's for security purposes.
For security, you're violating my Fourth Amendment. I'm going to give this guy what he wants.
Just asking.
Yeah, I know you're asking. I got a First Amendment. Now it's like everything's like a big airport. Hey, bro. Hey, good. Since he gave me a speech about my camera, I'm just going to... I'm a radio talk show host. I don't like domestic checkpoints, and I'm going to document this. Listen, I'm the one exposing that the major drug cartels work for the U.S. government. Okay. So I don't like this.
Okay, can you let me do my job?
Which is what? Stop cowboys? That, you know.
How many on board, sir?
6.
Okay. Do you mind if I come on board and look at everybody, make sure?
Oh, no, it's a violation of the Fourth Amendment, but go ahead.
You're gonna let him come in?
No, I'm not going to. No, I'm telling him it's a violation.
Do you mind if I come in?
No, I'm telling him it's a violation of the Fourth Amendment. I want to illustrate what goes on in America. Oh, it's fine. Start videotaping. You know how to videotape? You're violating my Fourth Amendment.
Oh, I'm not. I'm standing outside the vehicle.
Yeah.
I just need to see everybody, make sure they're U.S. citizens.
Yeah.
That's what we do. United States citizen, ma'am?
Of course I am.
United States citizen?
Yes.
Where are the other people on board?
My children.